Hello, it's Makeda Valletta, also known as the Renaissance Amazon. So right now I am live on YouTube at the Renaissance Amazon, and I'm live on my IG page, the_Renaissance_81. Okay, so make sure you follow me in both places because I don't always post the same things. And to those of you who are not familiar with me or are new to this channel, um, I am an Afro-American woman from New York City. I am a trainer, a nutritionist, dancer, researcher, and I descend from a long line of freedom fighters in North America. Um, and so that is my quick background. Okay. Okay, so as the video states on YouTube, this is storytelling time. I have stories to tell. Right now, I am in Madrid, Spain. And so it's 11:31 here. So on the East Coast of the US, it's what, like 5:30 in the morning? And if you're in Chicago and New Orleans, it's 4:30 in the morning. And if you're on the West Coast of America, it's like 2:30 in the morning. Okay, so big time difference. So I know a lot of you may not even be awake right now, but this is when I had time to do this video. Okay, so yeah, 5:30 in Philly. Good morning. It's 11:30 here in Madrid. Okay, so for those of you who follow me, you probably know that I travel a lot. I travel a lot in the United States, and I travel internationally, but every place I had been internationally was in the Caribbean and South America. Okay, so I've been to Cuba 5 times, I've been to Haiti, I've been to Jamaica, I have been to Colombia 3 times, spent like 6 weeks there at one point, and went to different parts of the country. I've been to Costa Rica 4 or 5 times and stayed there for long periods of time in different parts of the country, and that's it. Okay, and in Puerto Rico and Hawaii are like a part of the I traveled to. And so this is my first time coming to Europe. I used to not be interested in Europe at all. It used to be on the bottom of my list because when I learned about colonialism, of course we know about slavery in America, but when I learned about how Europeans had colonized so much of the world, even though it's not all the countries, it's only a few small European countries, I just wasn't interested, And I'm really into dance, so I like to go places where there's Black people. Because I feel like if you don't have Black people, you don't got that sauce. Sorry, no offense to anybody, but that's just my personal opinion. But what made me kind of curious was the food, right? Because I am a nutritionist. Make sure that you follow me, my other YouTube page. I do talk about a lot of things that can really help save your life and help you live longer and stronger. Heard is thing that you hear from nutritionists and trainers, okay? Now, I'm very much into food quality, okay? So as a nutritionist, I'm not a calorie counter. I'm not into this fat-free stuff and vegan and vegetarian. I'm into traditional foods. I'm into good quality foods. I'm into consuming local foods and sustainable agriculture, okay? So that's my background and my approach, my philosophy when it comes to food. I believe in eating foods that people have eaten for generations, okay, for thousands of years, that has shown to produce healthy populations, okay? A lot of things that we think is normal now, like people having bad eyesight, like a lot of people have bad eyesight, more than you even think, because a lot of people wear contacts, a lot of people get surgery, and we think that's normal, but it's not. Indigenous people, in order to hunt and live, I used to think about being enslaved. You can't be a runaway slave and you can't see, people who hunted, all of that, people's eyesight was better than 2020. Okay, so there are these, all these different issues that people are getting physically, a long list that people think is normal because it's becoming so common, but it's not normal, right? So in my studies in graduate school, okay, so my undergraduate degree was from the University of Delaware in 2003. I graduated with a degree, Bachelor of Science in Exercise and Sports Science and with a minor in sports nutrition and a concentration in strength and conditioning. But I started off as a biotechnology major for 2 years, okay? So biotechnology is all about genetic engineering and, yeah, genetic engineering. At first, I wanted to be a scientist and research the cures for genetic diseases. And I hope that this video is still recording because I'm getting notifications that the video is unstable. So hopefully it's recording. And so, yes, I was that's what my focus was first. And then I went into exercise and sports science and minor in sports nutrition, concentration and strength conditioning. And my graduate program at Columbia University, I then went into a Master of Science program. It was a 3-year program. I did 2 years out of 3. And that program was applied physiology and nutrition science and education, right? Had an educational focus. And that program was the only program in the country, the only program in the US that did not take money from the food industry, because all the nutrition programs in America are funded by the food companies, and all of the medical programs are funded by the drug companies. And the food and the drug companies are the same, the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, right? And people think that the FDA tests things. That's not what the FDA does. They don't test anything. They just get paid off to approve things, basically. But the way the FDA works, I'm not going to get into that too much in this video, because this is going to be for my nerdier videos on my other page, The Body Scientist 81. So be sure that you follow me on that page, because I'm going to get into some stuff. And this is, when it comes to your health, what you don't know can kill you. What you don't know could cause you to live a miserable life. Like, you don't want to be sick for the last 30, 40 years of your life, right? 20, 10, whatever years of your life, right? Don't we want to be healthy and strong? Well, there's a lot to know, okay? Anyhow, so in those studies, right, my graduate program, because they didn't take money from the food industry, I learned a lot of trickery with the food industry. And living in the US, I kept hearing people from the Caribbean constantly saying, oh, people in the Caribbean eat better food, people in the Caribbean eat fresher food, blah, 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 blah. I went to Jamaica. No, I went to Costa Rica in 2006, right? And this is before, like, a lot of tourists started even going there. And I remember being in isolated areas, places that had no roads, okay? And, I was at my best friend. And I remember coming across like a little store in the middle of the jungle, right? Or you go to the bathroom and they had antibacterial soap, which is poison. You should never, ever use antibacterial soap. You should never, ever, ever use an antibacterial hand sanitizer. That stuff is really toxic and will make your immune system worse. And I talk about that in my videos on my other page, okay? I will try to post some of the links below in this YouTube so you can see, but this is very, very important, okay? Antibacterial soap should be illegal. It really should be. And I've known this since I was in the 10th grade. And I was in the 10th grade in 1997, okay? So for 22 years, I've known this, okay? So also, I speak a little Spanish, but I definitely know enough Spanish. I know my foods for sure, I know enough Spanish to survive in a Spanish-speaking country, right? And I know enough Spanish to understand my foods and speak about food and read ingredients and stuff. And all of the stuff, in Costa Rica was so processed, very, very processed, okay? Now, skip forward to 2009, I go to Jamaica, and I flew into Kingston, and I was staying with somebody I knew who was born and raised in Jamaica. He never lived anywhere but Jamaica, so I wasn't in touristy areas. He took me to a few different parishes on that side of the island, and I could not find real juice. Everybody was drinking tropical fantasy pineapple soda, soda, all this processed crap, okay? I could find real food easier in New York City than I could when I was in Jamaica, okay? Then I went to Haiti in 2010. And, I had been told by a Haitian American friend of mine from Brooklyn who went to Haiti in 2007. He came back saying that they worship spam. I'm like, spam? I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody over here who eats spam, okay? And he was telling me that they worship spam in Haiti and like yada, yada, yada. So I go there, but one thing I noticed in Haiti, I had never seen so much Wonder Bread in my life, okay? Wonder Bread, okay? I never ate Wonder Bread. Okay, no. I saw so much Wonder Bread and so much soda. There were paintings for soda, like paintings, like ads painted on the sides of walls for soda. I remember being so fucking hot and thirsty when I was in Haiti. All I wanted was some coconut water, right? And everybody was selling soda. Everybody was selling soda and beer. And we were going all throughout the island, and everybody soda, soda, soda. And I'm like, soda is the last fucking thing that I want. And this is one thing I've noticed as I've traveled. I've seen people drink more soda other places than I do in the States. It's like people in the States realize soda's bad now. But I see people like, when I was in Colombia, sitting at a dinner table with a 2-liter bottle of soda. I'm like, really? Why don't you drink some juice? You got like all these tropical fruit right here. Drink some juice or something. Soda? Really? Okay. So, anyhow, my experiences in traveling through South America and Caribbean was that the quality of the food to me always got worse, not better. Okay, I felt like access to good food was worse in those places, even in Costa Rica. Okay, people don't know. I've been to different parts of the country. On the Caribbean coast of Costa Rica, where the food is the best and the most flavorful, that's where the Black people are. They cook with MSG by the buckets, okay? People don't know this, but they go to the store and buy big bags of MSG, and they put it all in the food. MSG is a serious neurotoxin, okay? Then, okay, you cannot get a pineapple in Costa Rica that's not GMO, okay? 100% GMO. There's Chiquita banana plantations, all kinds of stuff. And this is one of the things that made me interested in going to Cuba, because when I was in that graduate program, I had some professors who had went to Cuba to study the food system, because since Cuba was disconnected from the US, they were not being forced to do GMOs and monocropping and using all these pesticides and herbicides on their crops, because a lot of countries are forced to do that by the US, okay? So there's a lot behind that, and I have videos where I talk about that on my other page, okay? A lot of you guys on this page, you like, I dance and do all that stuff, and that's cool, right? A lot of you compliment me on how I look, and I thank you. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So thank you to anybody who has a compliment, but understand that I take my health very seriously, okay? More than probably anybody you've ever been around. I know my shit. I research this stuff. And if you go to my other page, The Body Scientist 81, you will learn a lot, I promise, okay? So if they can help you, your children, your parents, because what you don't know can hurt you, and with children, when you don't feed them the right things in developmental years, they grow up to not reach their full genetic potential, okay? And it's your fault as the parent. Now, to my trips in Europe, okay? Talking about reaching full genetic potential. Amsterdam, okay? I was very surprised. I wasn't just in Amsterdam. I was in also surrounding towns. But never have I been someplace where everybody looked like they reached their full genetic potential, okay? And this is what I mean. Like, people talk about there's so many beautiful women in Colombia, there's so many beautiful women in Brazil, or this and that. I think I've seen, some of the most beautiful women I have seen have been from Detroit, Michigan, and New Orleans, sometimes by way of Mississippi, and Atlanta. There's a lot of gorgeous Black women in those places. And I heard Texas too. I haven't spent too much time in Texas, but I've consistently heard that. But in my observation, Detroit has some of the most amazingly beautiful, stunning Black women I've ever seen, right? And in Chicago, right, where I live now, I'm from New York, but I live in Chicago. Chicago has a different breed of white people than I've seen in other parts of the States. Like, maybe because there's a lot of Eastern European immigrants in Chicago. I don't know. But the white people in Chicago also have a stockier, hardier, stronger build, right? But coming to the Netherlands, okay, coming to Amsterdam and the surrounding towns, I was so surprised that there were so many Black people, okay? I did not know that. I did not know there were so many Black people in Amsterdam, okay? And some beautiful Black people, their swag, okay? The men and the women, and they all speak Dutch, right? Now, they're not Africans, though. They all the ones that there's Africans there, but all the Black people that I spoke to in Amsterdam all come from Suriname. Now, I had heard of Suriname before, but I'm like, where is that? Is that in South America? Is it in the Caribbean? Where is Suriname, right? Suriname is right next to Guyana in South America, and they speak Dutch. Growing up in New York City, I've never come across anybody. I know Guyanese people, never came across somebody from that country. Um, um, and what was I going to say? One Surinamese man told me, "Oh, there's a lot of us in Miami." I'm like, I've been in Miami a lot. I know people raised in Miami. Nobody's never come across somebody from Suriname. Have you? If anybody's watching this, because it's really interesting, right? And sorry, they look like Afro Americans, right? But they were really beautiful, and it was like the men had swag, like you would thought you were in Brooklyn, the way they dressed. So the women there, white or black or whatever, right? The women there were tall. Like a lot of people ask me how tall I am. I'm 5'7", but I mean, I'm sorry, no, I'm not. What am I talking about? I'm not 5'7". I'm 5'8". 5'8". I'm 5'8". I'm 5'8" with the limbs of a 6-foot person. So my arms are longer than a 5'8" person. Okay, I know girls who are 5'10" and their limbs are not as long as mine. So my arm span or whatever is like 6 feet. Okay, so I'm 5'8", even though I've been around girls who are 5'10", or every time a dude tells me he's 5'10", I swear he's my height. So I'm somewhere between 5'8" and 5'10". I don't know, right? But they're like, no girl was shorter than me. They were my height and taller. The women, like their legs, their thighs were all really, really strong. They had like strong bones, nice bodies, like evenly, like their face, everything was perfect. Okay, perfect. I have never seen such perfectly formed people in my life as when I was in Amsterdam. Okay, and they have a bike riding culture. I stayed in a town that was a 40-minute ride outside of Amsterdam, 40-minute train ride called Warden. Okay, I'm probably not saying it right because I can't speak with a Dutch accent, but like Warden. And the bike riding culture there, it's something I can't explain. I wish I got videos, but I was too busy trying to be present. I'm not really trying to film videos and take pictures all the time. But bikes rule there. You barely see cars. You see cars parked, but you barely see cars moving and going anywhere. It's extremely rare, And even like the staircases in Amsterdam, if you go to somebody's house, and I'm gonna post some pictures of this on my Instagram page, my page, The Body Scientist 81. I'm sorry, my Instagram page, the_body_scientist. I'm going to post some photos there so you can see what I'm talking about. Can't get into that Instagram page right now because my cell phone was stolen in Amsterdam. I'm gonna get into that story in a moment. But the staircase is there, right? And this is why I feel like being in good shape is important, and even traveling, right? Because I travel solo, so I have to carry my shit. This times I have to, I'm taking trains and stuff. I got to carry my bags up and down the trains, so I got to be strong enough to do that. So I don't travel with like super huge suitcases, no. So when I get to my Airbnb in Amsterdam, the staircase, it's really like a ladder. Their staircases from one floor to another is like a twisted ladder, where literally like as I go up it, I kind of have to hold on to the next step, like you're climbing a ladder, right? It's so steep and the stairs are so little. And so in order for me to get my suitcase up, I had to put my suitcase on my shoulder, right? And my suitcase wasn't like, it's kind of big. I have it on my shoulder and I'm like walking up a ladder, okay, to get my bag up there, right? So to me, even to go up, and apparently that's normal everywhere there. So even to go up the stairs there, you have to be in good shape. You can't have bad knees. You can't have this problem and that problem to go up the stairs. Like these are not stairs like I've seen in other parts of the world. The bike riding culture, they ride bikes like everywhere. And the roads are really just bike roads. They'll have like red, the road be painted red. That means it's for bikes. And at any moment, okay, I remember somebody telling me that you're gonna constantly feel like there'll be a few times where you feel like you almost died because of a bike, and it's true. I mean, I look both ways. I'm from New York, where we got a whole lot going on. But in Amsterdam, it was just so crazy and different with the bike culture and how many bikes there were. You were a minority walking, and you were a minority in a car. Bikes ruled, right? But everybody was so strong. It was like nothing, whatever age, from little kids to older people. And the women, I've never seen women who look, all the women there look like they're ready for anything. Like they could snowboard, ski, skate, play basketball, volleyball, what you want. They just look so strong. And I loved it. And the black men and the black women in Amsterdam were delicious to look at. Dead ass serious. Very gorgeous. And their swag, because me being from New York, you got to have some style, some swag about you. And in the US, the only cities that I've been to, and I've been to a lot of cities, only cities I've been to where I feel like they really got swag and they know how to dress across the board is New York and Detroit, okay? Other cities, you got pockets of people, like in Chicago, there's people in Chicago that know how to dress and have swag, but you have to like search for them. You have to go to somebody's house party. You have to go to a particular event. If you just move around Chicago, people look busted. Sorry, no offense. I know Chicago people be sensitive, but this is true, okay? Take a trip to Chicago, walk around the city, take the train, sit in the car, look out the window. People look fucked up, okay? So there are fly people in Chicago, but you have to go out your way to find them. If you come to New York City, even the dudes standing in front of the bodegas who are doing absolutely nothing with their life look like they took a bath today. They match. They got on a black shirt with red writing. They got on a black hat with red writing. They got on black sneakers with red laces. You know what I'm saying? Like, the shit is coordinated, okay? And it doesn't look crazy. Like, what the fuck is he wearing, Dudes ain't standing on the corner with flip-flops and socks on. So in Amsterdam, I think hold on a minute. My cell phone is about to die. I have this temporary cell phone and the battery is really bad. Hold on. I need to get my charger. 1 second. Okay. So, what was I gonna say? I loved their culture of staying fit, right? And it was embedded into what they do. And of course, you could get weed from coffee shops that were everywhere. They have coffee shops like New York has bodegas, and coffee shops were the places where you could buy legal weed. Hold on, let me plug in this charger in my okay, hopefully this is charging. Let me see where I can sit this at. One moment, people on. Ooh. See, I don't edit. I'm not like a. Okay. Hopefully this will be okay right here. I'm having the hardest time with this other phone. Hold on a second. This is so complicated. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna have to hold this phone, I guess, because the charger's in it. So the people on, this is not comfortable. Damn it. Hold on to this right here. Okay, let me see how I can prop this up here. This is not working. Okay. All right. Just gonna hold this, I guess. All right. So let me just go back. Let me go to the beginning of the trip. In London, right? And I have a travel YouTube channel that I started just for travel stuff, and because I want to do like little mini videos where I can go more into depth about certain things. But I started off in London, right? And at first I liked London because it's a big city like New York, and I love big cities. And I did not know it was bigger than New York. I didn't know that London was bigger, had more people than New York. So I'm used to that big city, move fast kind of vibe, right? And London definitely had that. And I never knew that much about London. In my mind, I pictured that it was small for some reason, right? Everybody I knew from New York who had ever been to London liked it. Um, and okay, somebody says, good for me to learn about other cultures. Americans are usually very narrow-minded. No, I think all people can be narrow-minded, okay? I disagree with you. I'm saying Americans. America's a huge country. I don't know, people want to compare America to like these small little places that have like 10,000 people in it. America's a huge country. I don't think that Americans are, I think it depends on what Americans you're talking about. I think there are a lot of Americans. There are American filmmakers who've made movies about other cultures more so than I've seen other cultures do. Like, there's American filmmakers and researchers who've made movies and researched all kinds of people in the world. Like, what other culture can you say has done that? Okay, so done with that. Now, okay, so the thing is back to that thing. In London, though, London, I knew had black people, right? I knew there was black people in London. But people in London, I didn't like how they dressed, right? Like, they looked bad. Like, British people already look bad to me. Like, the white British people are like some of the worst looking white people I've ever seen in my life. Like, they just look really bad. And the black people there, I would see like a fine ass African man. Like, there would be like a fine ass, tall, like muscular African man that I'm going to jump on, right? So you would see that, but they just also had like a very stiff vibe about them. Like, they didn't have much swag. And I wondered about even their awareness, right? Because I know that I've constantly seen black people say, I've seen black Americans say it, certain black Americans. I've seen black people from the UK or Afro-Europeans try to claim that it's not as racist there as it is in America. People will say, oh, it's not as bad over there as it is in America. And I can say that's a complete lie. That's not true at all. At all. Okay. There's so much research that could be done to show that. And when you talk to, there are Afro-Europeans I know who try to say that, but there are Afro-Europeans I know who will tell you the real. And I'm like, that is not true. And it's not, So with the Africans in London, I used to wonder what these African men were thinking or what their consciousness was, because I'm not against interracial dating. I've made videos about that in general, but I am when you think that you're getting with somebody, like if a black person feels like, oh, I'm gonna get with this white person because I'm gonna make my bloodline better, or you think this white person is better, that's when I have an issue with it. But if someone just happens to fall in love with somebody who is another race but they love themselves and they get with somebody who respects their people and is down for the cause, then that's different, right? But in London, I was wondering what they were thinking, right? And they weren't. I saw some fine black men, but I never saw them try to talk to anybody. I mean, no, they didn't try to talk to me, but that's one thing. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I may not have been their type, but I never saw them like trying to kick it to anybody. Like if you come to New York or if you go to Havana, Cuba, you're gonna see dudes constantly trying to kick it to chicks. Just you can sit there and observe that, right? But the men in London, they look good, but they didn't have really a lot of swag about them. They didn't seem very aggressive. And then I would see some fine black men with some really bad looking white women. Okay. Now, no, I'm gonna unplug this. Hopefully this phone won't die. Okay. Hopefully, what was I gonna say? Okay. People in America have also done several documentaries about other cultures too. So it sounds like this person on my YouTube channel is comparing Americans to Europeans. And with my travel throughout Europe, okay, and there's a lot of places. I haven't been a lot of places. I've only been to a few places, but I am not more impressed with Europeans than I am with Americans. And the reason why is like, no European country, first of all, has ever had any kind of civil rights movement. I used to wonder why a black person would want to move to Europe. I used to wonder that. Like, that's why I didn't even respect it. I was like, And I thought to myself, as a black person, how can you argue for your rights in Europe when you're on their land, right? America is not white people's land. America is indigenous land, Native American land. And the Africans who were brought there as slaves helped build this shit. So Native American and African blood is in the soil of it. But to me, I felt like if you're in Europe, you're not on your land. And so this person says Americans see things in black and white. The problem with Europe, though, this is what I'm getting to. Europe likes to ignore and deny, okay, their race issues. And that's why a lot of Afro-Europeans, to me, are really a turnoff, because you can't be so naive. You cannot be so naive to think, oh, that these white people love you so much. Oh, that, black people in America are always talking about race, right? But when, was it H&M? Who was it that made that ad where that black boy had that shirt that said, coolest monkey in the jungle, right? And the white kid next to him had a shirt on that said survival expert. Afro-Americans had a huge problem with that shit overnight. The mother of that black boy was Kenyan, and she didn't have a problem with it. She said Afro-Americans make too much about race. But meanwhile, there are European countries that are still doing blackface. In Holland, they're still doing blackface. I think they're still doing it in Spain, okay? They're still doing blackface. That's unacceptable in America. Unacceptable to be doing blackface. It's not going to be a national holiday where everybody has on blackface. No, okay? And people know, as Afro-Americans, people know that we're there because we fought for shit. People don't know how many black people there are in France, how many black people there are in Holland, okay? Now, when you say America was built on racism, America was built on racism because of Europeans. It's the Europeans, the French, the Spanish, the British, okay? And apparently Britain's not supposed to be part of Europe, whatever. To me, it's European. The British, the Spanish, the French, the Dutch, okay? The Portuguese, they were all over in the world colonizing shit. So the reason why America was built on racism is because of Europeans. So then how could there not be racism in Europe? So you sound pretty dumb. And this is exactly, whoever this person is talking to my YouTube thing, is exactly what I'm talking about with what turns me off about black people in Europe. I was like, they cannot be serious and think that there's no racism, because you know what? I loved Paris. Paris reminded me more of New York than any place I've ever been. And Paris had so many black people, like so many, tons of black people. I did not realize Paris was as black as it was, but nobody knows that. To me, Paris is a dope city with energy like New York. So how come black people in Paris haven't created anything? We know about, the whole world knows about black Americans because we created jazz. We've created rhythm and blues. We've created hip hop. Everywhere I've gone in Europe, people are listening to Afro-American music. Every single country. When I was in the UK, all I heard was Afro-American music. Every single place I went. I was like, what kind of music do they create? Do they have artists? Because all I heard was Afro-American music. Then I go to Amsterdam, same thing. Then I go to Paris, same thing, okay? Now, I just got to Madrid last night. It's probably not the case here, I don't know. But every place I've been, all they do is listen to Afro-American music. But yet, all these black people in these European countries are invisible. Nobody knows they're there. And it's easy, just like in Latin America, it's easy for a country to say, oh, we don't have a race problem. But then when you look at who owns most of the shit, who gets in high positions, like just, or talk to the people who live there, there's constant discrimination. But people just undermine, don't really talk about it. There was a whole Black Lives Matter protest that started in London because of them watching Black Americans. And they started talking about the racism that they faced. So let's not sound stupid with that. There was a movie that I watched when I was in London called Farmed, okay? And it's a movie about Nigerian parents who were selling their kids to British families. Why? I don't know. Because these Nigerians felt like, oh, my kids will have a better chance? I don't know. But this movie was made by a Nigerian Brit actor because it was a true story. He had been sold by his parents, and then he became a skinhead. He actually became a skinhead, okay? I don't know of any story of any black people in America doing no shit like that. To an Afro-American, we're like, why the fuck would you sell your kids? Why would you sell your kids? Our kids got sold. During slavery and during that time, our babies were ripped from us against our will. There's no way in the world we would willingly sell our children to some white people. Are you fucking kidding me? And then sit there and say, "Oh, there's no racism in that." Like you guys are so naive. You think that these white people love you? No, okay. So you can't talk about racism in America and how America was founded on racism without talking about the fact that that's because of Europeans that came and colonized the Americas and made it that way. Okay. So if it comes from Europe, how can you say that Europe doesn't have that problem? You know? And somebody on my YouTube page says, sometimes I think many European countries, like for example, Germany, have sponsored immigration because of labor shortage and also because the population is shrinking. Here it's the opposite. Yes, I mean, in America, it is the opposite. And, I've talked about this. The immigration problem in America is out of control. You can't accept people forever and ever and ever. Okay. And sometimes I'm like, why don't some of them come to Europe? Okay. Because Afro Americans have a distinct position. Okay. And I'm very proud of being an Afro American. Okay. Because as I look around the world, I see the whole Black world looking to us. I had a conversation with a Black Brit when I was in London, who just kept going on and on and on and on about how much he respected Afro Americans, how they looked to Afro Americans for their identity in the West, in the Western white world, yada yada yada. And okay, my phone and my laptop's gonna die soon. No, not all European countries. No, it wasn't all European. Not all European countries were involved in the slave trade, but even the ones who were not, like, sometimes there's some issues, right? But in London, I just saw like the Black people, to me, like a lot of them, their skin looked bad. Like their skin did not look moisturized, a lot of them. And this is not everybody, but this is the bulk of what I saw as I moved around, right? Their hair, a lot of the Black women, their hair didn't look like, I would just see a few African men that was like, oh my God, they're stunning. And then I would see some stunning African men with some really bad looking white chicks, like bad, like horrible. And I'm like, how did she get him? Like, what did she do? Because the men there don't seem aggressive. They don't seem like they're trying to kick it to chicks. So I'm like, that really horrible looking white girl probably just pushed up on him and she got him, right? Now, and also in London, the food was horrible. Horrible, okay? The worst food at any place I've ever been, okay? It was just bad. And I'm gonna do, videos where I get more in depth about that. This was just a quick video to talk about stuff, right? Horrible. Yes, I went to Brixton. I went to the Black parts of London. The worst Ethiopian food I ever had. The worst everything. And I'm gonna get more in depth into this in another video to really dissect this, what I'm saying. Because some people kept trying to give me suggestions, and London had more processed food than America. Okay, I could not find real juice. The food was highly processed. But when you look at the people, especially the British people, the white British people look really bad. But that's what happens when you eat a lot of processed food. You look really bad. Okay, so then I go to Amsterdam. All right. You can't compare Europeans that colonized America with Europeans today in the West. There are many social issues being discussed and races treated quite seriously. Germans, Sweden, Denmark. I don't really understand what that statement, the person who wrote that, if you want to clarify what you're saying, because I don't understand what you're saying. But to me, you can compare white people who colonized America, Europeans who colonized America with Europeans today. You can't, because they're their ancestors, okay? But London, by the end of it, I didn't like it, right? The public transportation was overly complicated. And I'm going to do separate videos about each place that I went because I have a long list of notes. But the train system was overly complicated, super confusing, did not like it, okay? I was happy that it was there because in most American cities, unless you're in New York or Chicago, you need a car, That's one reason why I moved to Chicago. I didn't want to be someplace where I have to drive all the time. I hate that shit. It's like my body's wasting away. But all these European cities have good trains, which is good. But London, it was just, I didn't like it. And so enough of London. Went to Amsterdam, and in Amsterdam, people look really well formed, really well formed. Okay, some of the most perfect looking people across the board that I've ever seen, and they dress well, and it's a great place to go shopping. Like right now, I'm all about going shopping in Amsterdam. I'm going back to Amsterdam in January. I'm going to go back to Amsterdam and Paris. But Amsterdam, I'm all about the shopping. Fly ass, well-made clothes. The clothes in Europe, I feel like, are better made than the clothes in America. Now they're selling us like cheap shit, you know? I need to plug up my laptop, it's about to die. See, I can't make this video as long as I want because my damn laptop is about to die. So I'm gonna hurry this up. And I'm gonna go do more in-depth videos. Amsterdam, I didn't get to eat enough food because restaurants were closed like after 8, 9 o'clock at night, you weren't eating, you know? And plus, it was a lot of like Argentinian food and Brazilian food. I'm not really into Argentinian and Brazilian food. I like Colombian food, Venezuelan food, Peruvian food. I like Mexican food. I like North American food. I like Ethiopian food. But Indian food, like I used to like that. Indian food is very hit or miss. I love Indian food, but it can be really bad. And when it's bad, it's bad. And I'm just tired of Indian food. Don't really want it ever. But the quality of food in Amsterdam, when I went into supermarkets, very good quality food in Amsterdam, very good quality cheeses and meats. And I'm gonna get more in depth in that on my other page in the Body Scientist 81. Okay, so be sure to check out those videos because I'll be doing them where I get more in depth with that. I was supposed to go to Milan, but I missed my flight, not knowing about there's some differences with travel rules there's some differences with travel rules in Europe that caused me to miss my flight. Okay, so I stayed in London longer, and then I went to Amsterdam. And Amsterdam is absolutely beautiful, very, very beautiful, and I love a beautiful city. People all speak Dutch, but you mostly all speak English enough to, for you to function. Then I went to Paris, and Paris I loved more than I thought. I don't speak any French, so I was afraid to go to Paris because I don't speak French. I do speak some Spanish. And to me, I don't know how people could go to Cuba or Colombia and not speak some Spanish because a lot of people do not speak English. But in Paris, like almost everywhere I went, people spoke English. They spoke enough English for me to do what I needed to do. Only like once or twice I go someplace where people didn't speak any English at all. Overall, the food that I've come in contact with in Europe, they just give you too little. Like they say Americans give you too much food. But I feel like Europeans don't give you enough food. Like I never really felt like I had a meal that really hit the spot. Okay. It's like bits of food, like I need more food. And I'm going to talk about that more in my other video. Paris, the train system is very easy to understand. And also, in Amsterdam, I got robbed from my cell phone and I wanted to tell that story. And I was going to tell that story in this video, but because my laptop is about to die, I'm going to have to do it in a separate video. So I'm going to do a separate video about each place that I went, okay? And I'm going to get into depth about that place. What was I going to say? Yes, Paris, the Black people, as soon as I got off the plane, the Black people in Paris were so fly, okay? They were some of the flyest, and me being from New York is a fashion capital, okay? I could say Paris is a fashion capital. Fashion week happens in New York, Paris, Tokyo, London, Milan. London, I didn't see it. I feel like London was a good place to shop. Like the West Coast is a good place to shop, but people can't dress, right? When I was in Amsterdam, I remember seeing all of these. I was staying in a town outside of Amsterdam, and so as I rode the train in, I saw all this beautiful green, lush grass, and all these cows eating this grass, and they were the strongest, healthiest cows I've ever seen in my life. Their fur shined, okay? Their fur had a glow. And there were all these little baby cows, okay? All these little baby cows, what are they called? Calves? I don't know. And they were so cute and they were so strong. They were like little muscular baby cows that also had like really strong bodies, right? And so I'm like, that's good quality dairy. When you eat milk, meat, and when you eat the milk and meat from cows who are eating grass, they're very high in important fats. CLA and MCT fats, omega-3 fats, they're important for your brain, your immune system, your metabolism. Very high and high quality fats. very high in vitamins A and D, so that's what cows are supposed to be doing, outside in the sun, eating grass. And people told me, oh, if you think it's like that here, then you need to go to Ireland, because in Ireland it's even more intense. And so I came across something in Amsterdam called Irish beef, and I had never heard of it. But when I looked it up, apparently Irish beef is some of the best beef in the world. That's because of the grass, right? So the quality of food in Amsterdam is very good. The people were nice. I have an interesting story about my experiences there. Moving forward into Paris, yes, I loved it. Every time I got off the train, it was popping, just like New York. And when you're in New York, you get off the train and 15 different places, 20 different places. You come outside, mass stores, businesses, supermarkets, what you want, what you need is energy, is stuff, right? That's how Paris was. And that to me is a real city. The only city I know like that in the US is New York and San Francisco. Okay. San Francisco, not Oakland. Okay. San Francisco. New York and San Francisco, like San Francisco, there's corner stores everywhere, there's stores everywhere where you can get what you need. Every other city I go to is not like that. Chicago's a beautiful city. It's not like that. Okay. You can go off the train in Chicago and walk for 20 blocks and be thirsty as fuck and never have a place to buy what you need. So a lot of cities are like that. New Orleans is like that, like every place except New York and San Francisco. But Paris was like that. And I love that about Paris. Okay. I'm like, this is a real city. This is what I'm used to. The trains were easy to understand. But in Paris, people would get off the trains. All throughout Europe, all these trains, people pressed buttons to open the train doors themselves. Before coming here, I had never seen that except in Colombia. And when I saw them in Colombia, it weirded me out. It made me not want to get on the trains, right? But since I've been in Europe, all I've done is take trains. I haven't been in one car since I've been over here. And I've been over here since October 20th. Today is November 6th. Yeah. So in Paris, people open the train doors while it's still in motion, okay? And they step off the train while the train is still moving. And I'm like, oh my God, that shit was about to give me a fucking heart attack. To see train doors opening while the train is still moving and people stepping off the train while it's still moving, I'm just like, that's crazy. People really have different ideas of what safety is, right? But for me, I'm an ice cream fanatic. I need ice cream in my life on a regular basis. I have not been able to find adequate ice cream until I came here to Madrid. Okay, people tell me there's a lot of good ice cream in Amsterdam, but apparently those places are only open in the summer. Okay, Paris, I went to an ice cream place that was supposed to be really good. It was closed, so I don't know if Paris is the same way. They had gelato, but gelato, I'm not really a big fan of gelato. I like hard American ice cream, to me, with all the fat in it. Like, gelato is all right, but it's too light, And I like the fact that in America, we have choices. Like, I've heard people talk about being in Europe and coming to America and saying, oh my God, America, there's so many choices, like overwhelming amount of choices, it's too much. In Europe, you don't have so many choices. And I actually have grown to appreciate those choices that we have in America because I can find what I want, you know what I'm saying? And I don't want gelato. I want a choice. I want American ice cream, okay? Real ice cream. So in Paris, they had Haagen-Dazs stores, like shops or whatever, and that's where I could get ice cream. And that was the only place you could get ice cream. But when I'm in the States, I could just go to anywhere and buy a pint of strawberry Haagen-Dazs ice cream. Or if I'm in LA in the Bay Area have tons of artisanal ice cream places that have good quality ingredients. I could find that in New York, But at the very least, I could get a pint of Haagen-Dazs when I want it. But I've not been able to do that here. In Madrid, I got here yesterday afternoon. There's tons of ice cream places here. Tons of them. Okay, and that made me happy. Same thing is true in Cuba and Colombia, all right? So apparently Spanish people love ice cream, and I'm happy that they do because I love it too. Like, I need ice cream in my life or I'm like crazy. And Breyer's ice cream is not good ice cream. Breyer's ice cream is garbage. I did a video on my other YouTube page, The Body Scientist 81, where it's called Ice Cream is a Health Food, and I get into depth about ice cream because 90% of the ice cream that's sold anywhere in the world has a bunch of chemicals in it. That's not good quality ice cream. And I talk about that. Breyer's is one of them. Breyer's might have been good quality when I was a kid, but it's not now. They put all kinds of additives. The only commercial brand of ice cream sold in America, the only commercial brand that's okay is Haagen-Dazs. It's the only one. Other than that, like, I have to go to, depending on what city I'm in, artisanal ice cream places, And there's a lot you have to do to evaluate it. And I talked about this in a video I did some years ago, but I'm gonna talk about it again. And it's these upcoming videos that I'm about to do. I'm telling you, all of you, you need to look at my other YouTube page, The Body Scientist 81. Watch those videos. You will learn a lot because a lot of you don't know what you think you know. Okay. Overall, I miss American food though. You know, I don't think many things can beat an American breakfast. Okay. Our breakfast is so we could have like all kinds of omelets with potatoes. You could put herbs in the potatoes, or you could have grits, or you know, we got biscuits. You know, the French love pastries. I can't do pastries for breakfast. Like I need breakfast. Breakfast to me, croissants and like eclairs and like, you know, pastries. It's not breakfast. I need like some eggs. I need some food. Okay. So American breakfast and Mexican breakfast to me are what rocks. Everybody else's breakfast, like I love Ethiopian food, but what do they eat for breakfast? What do Indian people eat for breakfast? Like, I don't know. But I miss an American breakfast. And I just miss like, yeah, I'm gonna talk more about the food in some other videos. My laptop is about to die. So I'm gonna have to hop off of here. I didn't get to finish doing this video the way I wanted to, and there's so much I want to say. So I'm gonna just do shorter little videos where I can get more in depth about the cities. Okay, so that's coming up. I definitely, you know, Paris has inspired me. I definitely will be spending more time in Paris and Amsterdam soon. You know, I teach a lot of things, and I feel like it's time for me to bring that to this side. And I will talk about that more in my upcoming videos, okay? Whew, so hope you guys have a good day, and thanks for listening. Bye.